Hello, I'm Amara Razgis with Consulting Specifying Engineer, and today I'm speaking with Ankush Kumar, President of SPX Global Cooling. We're going to chat about trends in the HVAC industry. Ankush Kumar joined SPX in 2018 as the president of the company's HVAC cooling business, SPX Cooling Technologies Incorporated. He was appointed as an executive officer of SPX Corporation in October 2020. Ankush joined SPX from Gardner Denver Holdings Incorporated, a global industrial manufacturer, where he led the fluid transfer equipment and liquid ring compressor systems businesses. He also previously spent 13 years at McKinsey & Company, where his focus was growth through strategy deployment, business development, and commercial performance transformation. Ankush holds a PhD in chemical engineering from the University of Delaware and a bachelor's degree from the Indian Institute of Technology. Hi, Ankush. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Hi, Amara. Likewise.
All right. Well, let's jump right into this conversation. Let's talk trends. What are some of the current trends that are impacting HVAC systems and the industry as a whole?
The biggest trend that is facing HVAC, in particular in cooling, is the ever-increasing demand for cooling, both for space cooling as in commercial applications, as well as for industrial applications. IEA estimates that between 1990 and 2016, the total demand for cooling has tripled, and that it will triple again by 2050. And this is driven by key underlying factors: increasing affordability, rising population, and the climate change, which is causing more frequent and more severe heat waves across the globe. And as we continue to focus on using more cooling, cooling does require a lot of electricity and power and energy. It is estimated that about 20% of the global electricity is used in space cooling alone, and that keeps increasing. What that has brought into focus is the energy efficiency required to be cooling things effectively. And that's the second major trend that we are seeing: the constant push and the constant need to find more and more energy efficient ways of cooling space and cooling industrial needs. And in the past, energy efficiency always has been an issue. In the past, it was more about managing the cost, reducing the operating cost. But in today's world, what has changed is it's becoming even more focused on reducing the carbon footprint, being environmentally friendly, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And that's become even a bigger driver as we go forward, and will continue to be that. In this regard, the industry has reacted well with continuously driving improvements in energy efficiency. Evaporative cooling is one of the most efficient ways of cooling. And it is estimated that compared to air cooling, like for example, in a data center, it uses 50 to 60% less energy. And so as we see large cooling applications, whether it be data centers and other places, we would see a push towards using more energy efficient technology. And how do we drive cooling requirements without driving an increased carbon footprint? Evaporative cooling as a whole is probably the most energy efficient way to cool, but it also has challenges with use of water. But what is interesting in several studies, it shows that as a whole system, evaporative cooling uses less water because the vast majority of our electricity still comes from fossil fuel, and the making of electricity is pretty energy intensive. So for example, in US, 1 kilowatt hour of electricity requires 2 gallons per minute, 2 gallons of water to be manufactured to make the electricity. So I believe energy efficiency together with the global footprint and optimizing for water is going to be a big focus and will continue to be a focus going forward. The third key major trend that I see is how do you optimize and run your products more efficiently? How do you run cooling and heating more efficiently? For that, people are using and leveraging smart technologies. And increasingly, we are seeing equipment with more smarts in them, better connected, that makes operational data available to the operators to help optimize their use, to get operational data that enables them to run their product more efficiently, identify issues, and address them pretty rapidly. So I see that as another trend that will continue to grow. And as technology becomes more and more easily available and affordable, the cooling systems will include more and more of these types of technologies going forward.
Okay, so it sounds like you have a lot on your plate, Ankush.
So I think, these are some trends that are so underlying and has been growing in the industry. What we expect is a continuous acceleration of these trends. And I think the industry in general has done a lot to adjust, but also offer more things. So not just us at SPX Cooling, but the whole industry is focused on addressing the needs that we think will be critical for the future.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So let's dive a little bit deeper. What is SPX doing to ensure HVAC projects meet challenges associated with these emerging technologies that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so SPX Cooling and Marley as a brand has been at the forefront of innovation, since the last 100 years. We are celebrating our centennial this year. And, throughout our history, we have a track record of focusing on providing the most energy efficient product at a reasonable cost. So we invented, in some ways, came up with this whole industry in US about cooling and evaporative cooling. Since then, we have been instrumental in adding new product lines along the way, and several of the major innovations in the heat rejection side of cooling has come from SPX, and we continue with that rich heritage. More recently, SPX introduced Everest, which is a line of cooling towers that use about 35% less energy. As the fans run at lower speed and they optimize for providing more cooling for less energy. We have been innovating and using new materials that drive for more energy efficient transfer. Our new line of fluid coolers, the MHF element, uses copper, which is the most efficient way of transferring heat. And these new lines of fluid coolers provide 15% less energy for the same amount of cooling. We have a series of products that enable you to use less water for providing cooling, like the NCWD and Clear Sky, which are both patented technologies. And lastly, but not least, we have been innovating on providing the right control systems. What that means often is adding controls that give the operator the ability to optimize. So for example, our Cool Boost feature allows the operators to optimize between usage of energy and water, and balance and create the best solution for them for the right climatic zone. And as we continue to do these products, that enables us to provide a much more energy efficient, and we have several other things that we're working on that will continue to innovate on the space. But that is not all. We have also focused on how we manufacture the product. And can we develop the product by using materials that are more environmentally sustainable and manufacturing processes that are more sustainable. So we have changed our carbon footprint. We have changed our manufacturing processes and the materials we use. We've found new ways of recycling our waste. And that has enabled us to go towards and be within line of sight of being a zero waste facility. For example, our most common used heat media, which is pretty much in every cooling tower, is the fill. And the fill is made out of has about 50 to 60% of recycled plastics in it. And then we recycle some of these fills when they come out at the end of the use, and can be used for making deck sidings and other things that can be used for residential use. So not only as SPX, we continue to innovate to provide energy efficient solutions, reduce our carbon footprint, optimize water, but we are also making sure that our processes and manufacturing techniques move towards a more sustainable way of producing the equipment we sell in the marketplace.
Sure. And you just mentioned, Ankush, that SPX is celebrating the centennial of the Marley cooling tower brand. How has Marley impacted the cooling industry over those past 100 years?
That's a great question. We're very proud of the centennials, the 100 years that we have sustained and has sustained as the top of the industry. Several of the innovations, whether it be the first factory assembled cooling tower that came from Marley way back in the 1960s, the Everest that I had mentioned earlier, which is an innovation in terms of using a lot less electricity per ton of cooling, came from Marley in 2016. We have been throughout helping get the industry expand its product lines to be more efficient, more cost effective throughout. But that's not the only thing that we have been focusing on. We take young engineers from universities and we train them to be some of the best engineers and world-class engineers. These people become the leaders in the industry, and Marley has been a source of talent for broadly the vast cooling industry and the HVAC industry in general. We also focus on building a sustainable work practices. A lot of our employees we are proud of are second and third generation employees whose parents and grandparents worked for Marley. And that kind of sustainability, not just in terms of our products, but also in our people, brings tremendous technical expertise, brings tremendous know-how that enables Marley to be successful and be a place that others can rely on. We participate in key committees like the ASHRAE committees, like CTI, and other things that enable us to influence the outcomes, shape the regulations, and drive the industry towards more effective and meaningful solutions.
All right. Well, like I said, you have a lot on your plate, Ankush.
Thank you for your time, Amara. I think this has been tremendously fun place to be in. HVAC industry is core to driving comfort, driving success, and we are super excited about the future of this industry and SPX within it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I've been speaking today with Ankush Kumar from SPX Global Cooling. That's all that we have time for today. Thank you so much and goodbye.